Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, my beautiful pen friends, and welcome to another video with your host, Andrew. So today, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to look at a Nettuno 1911 limited edition God of the Sea. So let's roll those titles and see what it's like. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so what we're going to do today, we're going to unbox this pen and we're going to see what we have. And I just want to give a special thanks before we start this video to a couple of people. Firstly, Elliot has provided me with the Vesuvio, which I had a review on I think it was last week or the week before, and yeah, but the week before, and it was a lovely, lovely pen. Now, Elliot has been ever so kind in loaning me another pen for review today, and it's really helping me in terms of being able to keep up with doing content for the channel without having to spend lots and lots of money, which is always good. So thank you so much, Elliot, and I appreciate that. Second person I need to thank is Roy for supplying Elliot this pen. Roy is a wonderful guy. He owns Isodd Pens in the UK, and he deals predominantly in used pens. He has lots of Parkers, he's got lots of Mont Blancs, he's got some, sometimes he gets some Omas on there as well. Gets quite a number of pens on there, and certainly he's a guy worth checking out. He also supplies Nettuno pens, Mayora pens, Shown Design, and Leonardo, although I don't know if he's going to be stocking those after he's sold out of his stock. I do need to confirm that. But he does have a nice range of pens from smaller manufacturers for brand new sales as well. So let's unbox this video and see what we have. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We've got the Nettuno 1911. So let's just take off the box. And then what you're presented with is a care and use guide, and it also gives you some information about the pen. So let's just have a look at that. So it's made of a special hand-turned resin, a special resin turned by hand from solid bars, blue colour of the sea. Special elements characterise the body from the carbocon, I think that's how you pronounce it. Placed at the top of the cap that represents the waves of the sea. The clip that symbolises a part of the harpoon to the two decorative bands that produce the movement of the sea water. Okay, so this is a limited edition of 888 pens. So let's take a look. We've got cartridges in here as well, which are still actually in the box. And then here we go, we've got the pen itself. So let's just move that out of the way. And here we go, we've got the God of the Sea. I love the plexiglass top to this box. I think that's, well, it's like a plexiglass. It's actually plastic, I think. But it's really nice. And I love the sort of motif which we got on the front with these sort of waves. It gives me almost like a Japanese feel to this pen. So let's just take these straps off. And there we go. So here's the pen underneath. The pen comes in this hourglass-like foam tray. I'm not 100% keen on this foam. I think it looks kind of cheap in comparison to what the pen is. I like the hourglass, but maybe with a material sort of draped over it, maybe a silk or a velvet or something, just to give the pen a little bit more of a plush look. I don't mind the black like the black bottom of the plastic. I think that looks okay. But yeah, I would like to see maybe this foam upgraded, especially for the price which you pay for the pen. I'm not one for necessarily boxes, but I just like, you know, when you're spending a certain amount of money, to have the pen nicely presented. So let's just put that to one side, and then we'll switch back to myself to talk about this pen. Okay, so what I'm going to do to start with, I'm going to put up the size and dimensions of this pen. Then what I'm going to be doing is talking about the aspects of the pen. Then I'll do a size comparison, and then I'll do a writing sample, and then share my thoughts and opinions of this pen. So let's have a look from the top and then work our way down to the bottom. So we have got this beautiful, beautiful finial on top. I think that looks absolutely stylish. I do love those sort of my wave motifs. Now I think that looks great. Then we come down onto the cap, which is separated by these two bands. They again look absolutely stylish, and I must say the trim on this is a fair bit better than that of the Vesuvio. I think this just looks fantastic, to be honest. We then come down onto the cap and a nice, well, I suppose a harpoon-shaped clip. So yeah, it looks okay. I would like to say that from this point on, I would have preferred to see the trident clip on here. I think it would have been more in keeping with that of the sea. It's not a bad clip, but again, I think it would just been quite a nice addition to have, just to keep it in more of the keeping to the sea. I think it just has a stronger emphasis on that sea theme. Right, so let's just take the pen cap off. Underneath, we have got a Nettuno 1911 18 carat medium nib. And there you go, you can see that. It's on a plastic feed. And then it comes onto the section, which is actually really comfy. And I prefer this section to that of the Mayora range. I feel for my hands, it's a little bit more comfortable. Okay, so let's just undo the barrel. And there we go. Underneath, we have got a cartridge converter with Nettuno 1911 and made in Italy. Very nice. I have got this pen inked up already. And we've got some Diamine Royal Blue in here for your viewing pleasure later today. Okay, so we then have a little step up with the threads which is on the barrel. Steps up. We've got Nettuno, God of the Sea, limited edition, and then, which one is this? This is number 39 of 888. And then it comes down to a blind cap, very similar to the rest of Mayora's and Nettuno's range, which you can take off. Again, I would like to see maybe an ink window on these pens. If you're going to put a blind cap on here, I think an ink window would be really useful, just because I think it would give the blind cap a little bit more use. Other than that, most people I know would normally just take the barrel off because they want to be able to see what their ink is. I do know Nino has got a beautiful ebonite pen coming out at some stage, which has got an ink window on there, so stay tuned for that. I'm not going to tell you any more about that or show any pictures because it's yet to be released. Okay, so that's it. Let's just talk about the material before we go on to doing the writing sample. In this light, this material is nice. It's almost got like a sandy effect, but in blue. I would like a little bit more depth to the material, a little bit more chatoyance from my perspective. I think it is a handsome material, and as you turn it around, you can actually see some variance within those blues, and it's certainly much more prominent on the clip on this one. On the blind cap, again, there is quite a bit more variance, but actually on the main body, there isn't really too much that I can see. Still, it is a beautiful pen, and you're going to find out how it actually writes in a second. So let's move on to that writing sample, and then we'll do a size comparison after, and then I'll share my thoughts and feelings. So join me over in the writing sample. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We have got the Nettuno 1911, and this is the God of the Sea. And it's an 18K nib. And it's medium. So now this to me writes more like a fine nib than a medium, and I think it's slightly stubbish. I don't know the history of this pen, it's not mine, so I can't possibly comment. So the ink, Diamine Royal Blue. Okay, this is Midori paper, and I must say it is absolutely glorious. I only got it in the mail yesterday, and yeah, it's fantastic. I really love the shading quality on this paper, and I do prefer creamer papers than stark whites. So anyway, I will be doing a review on this paper at some stage. So let's write out the quick brown fox. Wonderful. Okay, let's have a look and see what this line variation is like. So let's just move that up a little bit. Ah, look at that. That is glorious. Absolutely glorious. I do love a springy nib. Just gives real expression to your lines. So let's just do some vertical lines, a little bit of pressure. I'm not going to go over the top with this because it's not my pen. And then you can see it railroads a little bit. So don't over push this pen. But if I write out test, you can see you get a really nice expression to the line. So let's have a look and see what this ink is like. This paper, yeah, not too bad. Diamine inks are usually really good. So a couple of passes. Yeah, that's not too bad. It gives a pretty good ink flow. And one thing which I have noticed, and I'll talk to you a bit more about this, is that this pen does stay nice and wet. And I'll talk more about that in the actual thoughts and opinions. I digress. So can this reverse right? Yep, it can. It's really smooth. It's not perfect, but you can reverse right with this. Okay, that's it for the writing test. So let's now go over to a size comparison, and then we'll talk about what I like and what I don't. Okay, so from the left to the right, we've got the Nettuno 1911 God of the Sea. Then we've got a Mayora Impromptu. Then we've got a Leonardo Officina Italiano Momento Zero Grande in Arco Brown. Then we've got a Santini Libra in Ambra. And then we've got the Lamy Safari in my Sakura finish. As you can see, they're all comparable in size. The God of the Sea, let's just move that, is virtually identical to that of the Mayora. I'd say the God of the Sea is a little bit more girthy, whereas the Mayora tends to sort of taper off at the bottom a little bit more. So let's just get these uncapped. And as you can see between those two, I'm going to do a comparison video between these two pens at some stage. And you can see there is a bit of a difference. Right, so, and those are the pens uncapped, as you can see. Right, let's get the caps put back on, and then we'll talk about the pens in detail in a moment. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at this pen and talk about what I like and what I don't. Okay, so I have given you some sort of clues throughout the video about what I really like. And the one thing which I have to say is I do love this nib. It really is absolutely fantastic. And I think this may be even a cursive italic nib, which has been ground. I can't confirm that, but it really is absolutely fantastic. There is a little bit of nib creep on there. As you can see, it does get a little bit of ink. But that, to me, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. I really like the rose gold trim on here. I think it looks really smart with this blue. It's not a pen, or not a colour I should say, that I have really actually thought about including on a pen, but seeing rose gold in person is something which I might consider going forwards. And I know there are some trims out there from Leonardo which I might, well, put it into my collection, which have got some nice rose gold trims. Really do love the finial on here. I love the waves going around on the cap bends. The only thing is I'm not so keen on is maybe the clip. I think the clip is nice. I've got nothing against the clip itself, but I just feel the Trident clip would have been much nicer being a Nettuno pen, and it would have been certainly more in keeping to that of the range. I understand why Nino has perhaps opted to use a slightly different clip. It's just to sort of separate it from the range so it doesn't get confused. But that is my guess, and it may not be the reason. But other than that, it is a really fine writer. And I'd say the 1911 series is a higher finished series to that of the Mayora range. I've got nothing against the Mayora, and in fact I will be doing a long-term review of this shortly, and I will try and do a comparison video as well, so we can actually talk about the similarities and the differences. So that really is it for this video. Would I recommend this pen? Yes, I would. I think it's priced decently. I don't know if you can still get it, but certainly if you can find one in the second-hand market, I would certainly recommend picking one up. I think it is a wonderful pen. It writes beautifully. You've got a very bouncy 18-karat gold nib, and to be honest, at the end of the day, that is really all that matters. Having a really good writing experience, to me, far out trumps that of the aesthetics of the pen. I mean, yes, the pen has to look beautiful, but it has to write. I'm sorry, I don't like it when you get a pen which just doesn't write. I think it becomes an expensive desk ornament. Anyway, it's a really comfortable pen to hold. The threads don't dig in. Even with it capped, it's nicely balanced because it does post quite deeply on here, as you can see in my hand. So yeah, that really does bring it to the end of the video. Thank you for listening to my rambles. Next week I am going to be looking at a Sailor pen, a Sailor Pro Gear Slim in Vega to be precise, and then I've got a few ink reviews, and then we'll be maybe doing a comparison of that down the line. So thank you for listening, and I shall see you in the next video. Till then, stay safe and goodbye.